Hello and welcome to day 4 of Unsourced Wall's Christmas Carol-A-Thon. We're back with another traditional adaptation. This time it's the 1999 TNT made-for-TV movie starring Patrick Stewart. And well, when you have Patrick Stewart on board, then it's basically a done deal at that point. This might be one of the short reviews I do during all this because outside of that casting, there's not really much of this version of the story that makes it stand out. Oh, and don't get me wrong, it's really good casting. It's a bit of a no-brainer. But the rest is just your standard adaptation without, anything added to make it unique. I could mention the designs of the ghosts, which skew a lot more cold and gray, which is interesting. It adds to this level of detachment to their aesthetics that gives them this eerie and more tense dynamic with Scrooge. Part of that also extends to the effects and the aesthetics as a whole. I guess with TNT and this being more of a bigger budgeted Hollywood-style TV special, they really wanted to make their mark in a way that made use of the budget and made use of advancements in visual effects possible on TV, going for a more stylized sheen. And stylized, or should I say stylish, is the best way to describe this version. Because what makes Patrick Stewart stand out amongst all the other Scrooges is that he's kind of the coolest looking one, like by design and by intent of even casting him. What we see with Scrooge casting is that most of the time when they get someone famous, they get someone who can be a husk of a human being. Decrepit, maybe even crinkly looking. Or maybe just go full maniac like Alistair Sim or Bill Murray. But no, not Patrick Stewart. Nope. This movie makes use of his pop cultural cachet as a stern and strong-willed Professor X or Captain Jean-Luc Picard for what it's worth, framing Scrooge as less of a haggardly old man and more as, well, this cool but coldly cruel figure who cuts quite an effective silhouette in his tailored all-black suit. He might be the coolest looking Scrooge there ever was, and it's an interesting tack to take with the character, almost marking this as more of an uphill battle for the ghost since, as cruel and lost as the other Scrooges might have been, Stewart's performance just exudes a strong force of will. This is a bit of a double-edged sword though, since it leads to, well, I don't want to say an unearned emotional climax, but a slightly less believable one. Stewart is well known for being a very theatrical actor, literally, so the transition from Scrooge before and after his experiences with the ghost, especially from a Scrooge just domineering feeling, can feel a little over the top and exaggerated, as if it's trying to compensate for something that it knows it's not quite landing. That said, for as stern as Patrick Stewart can act, there's also no denying that he has a charm and warmth that he is totally capable of conveying. And like most Christmas carols, the catharsis is fun to behold. Now for the secondary cast, well-known character actors Richard E. Grant and Dominic West as Bob Cratchit and Nephew Fred are fun, but again, it's mostly just a standard picture of these characters. A lot of them aren't really worth getting into and none of them stand out, even though they're all serviceable in their roles. But like I said, it's easy to get into repetition. Dominic West as Fred, though, is probably the funnest bit of casting outside of Scrooge. Fred is usually a bit of a pushover in these things, but West is known himself for playing hardliners and is able to portray a Fred that can kind of believably stand up to his uncle for once. And honestly, kind of refreshing to see both of these very sort of stern figures kind of go head to head in this scene. And while Fred, of course, is usually meant to be like the more kind-hearted, naive, innocent kind of figure. And it's probably the most interesting bit of casting and dynamic shifting that the movie does, and it might not even have been intentional, but it does make it stand out, and I thought that was really interesting. Overall though, unless you like the novelty of seeing just Patrick Stewart as Scrooge, or just a really big Stewart fan in general, there's not much to draw you into this. It's not terrible, but it's not altogether remarkable either. It's just another Christmas Carol. Overall, 7 out of 10. I still enjoyed it. It's still a Christmas Carol. There's nothing that really detracts from it. So while there's nothing that makes it truly stand out or makes it special, just a nice comfy watch, just like all these really well done Christmas carols can be. But let me know what you think below. Are you interested in watching this version? Have you seen this version? Or what do you think about Patrick Stewart's casting? Is that something that's going to pull you in just for him? But leave, like, comment, subscribe, and see you again next time for day number 5.